Hello everybody. So in this video I want to talk a little bit about sleep patterns. So for the longest time, I'm sure for our entire lives, we've all heard that human beings seem to need 8 hours of sleep a night on average. 6 to 9 hours a night is supposedly the golden standard of sleep that everyone seems to need. Well, first of all, science has actually been pretty inconsistent with all of this and has shown a variety of different times, sleeping patterns and hours in which humans actually run optimally on. First of all, a lot of people feel tired no matter how much sleep they get. And there's a large group of people that can't sleep at all. I've known people my entire life who, if they had the opportunity, they would be able to sleep the entire day. And I also know a lot of people who can only sleep, 1, 2, maybe 4 hours maximum, or not be able to sleep at all. And they're very stressed because of this. I think this overgeneralized, cookie cutter recommendation for hours of sleep is ruining people's lives. And I myself have been on both sides of the spectrum, and what I've ultimately realized is the more that I sleep, the more my body is able to sleep. I've had times where I've been able to just sleep the entire day, and I've gone through cycles where I only needed 2 to 4 hours a day to be rested. I've talked to a lot of people who say that they have insomnia and this and that, some people have insomnia and they have issues they need to take care of. Other people only sleep 4 or 5 hours and they're upset about it and they're stressed about it, when in reality maybe these people they just need less sleep. I myself have noticed, the more attached I am to how much sleep I need, if I don't get that 8 hours of sleep and I only sleep 4 hours, interestingly enough, I actually cause myself to feel low energy and sleepy just because I expect that to happen. Because that's supposedly supposed to happen if you get anything less than 8 hours, anything less than the norm. And so the expectation of needing 8 hours of sleep is actually causing my grogginess or anger or stress when I don't get enough sleep. And what I found is that if I just kind of let my body tell me, and if I just sleep for the 4 hours or the 5 hours or the 8 or 10 hours that my body allows me to sleep, and I just assume that that's what my body needs, I actually end up being a whole lot more productive, happier, and just feeling healthier overall. And I just see that most people are just really dogmatic because they've been told by whoever, their doctors or mainstream medical outlets, their parents, just because they've always heard their entire life, hey, you need 6 to 8 hours of sleep or you're gonna die. They're so attached to that. They believe that it's true because they've been told that their entire lives. There's no critical thought involved. They're not open to questioning that. And anybody who tells them, hey, you can actually get 4 hours of sleep and be healthy and be fine, they instantly are triggered and they're like, no, that's not true, blah, blah, blah. And you can present to them so much evidence, all the evidence in the world, but they're not gonna budge. Just because they are basically closed-minded morons. They're not able to question and to think outside of what they are familiar with. And the science actually shows many things. There's a such thing as polycystic sleep, if I said that properly, or polyphasic sleep, where basically you can sleep 4 hours at nighttime and then just get a couple naps throughout the day. Or there's also the fact that humans, earlier on in civilization, before we had lamps and artificial lighting, light bulbs and electricity, humans actually used to sleep in 2 phases. They had first sleep, and then they had second sleep. So humans weren't even sleeping all the way through back in those days. And this is a fact, but for some reason we still are holding on to this idea that, oh, we need 8 hours of sleep uninterrupted. That's not true. And, millions and billions of fucking people are going around in the world like freaking out anytime this is challenged. Like, it's really crazy that people get so worked up over something as basic as sleep. Especially people who don't even understand the science and aren't even informed, haven't even done enough research. And these people are getting worked up as if they know what the fuck they're talking about when, they're just repeating what their mommy told them their entire lives. But the fact is, everybody has different needs for sleep. Okay? And that's just a general basic fact. Okay? And to take this even further, this is something very, very important that I hope a lot of people can open up to, is the fact that food can change how much sleep you need and how you feel throughout the day. I mean, it's crazy how obvious this is, but people, they're just ignorant. Most of the time, they choose to be ignorant. The fact is, first of all, I noticed when I include dairy in my diet, which I've been experimenting with the last 2 weeks, because I go through phases of removing foods and then including foods, because I'm experimenting. I'm my own scientist. I'm always trying to see how food kind of changes my life. I've noticed I can actually sleep 8 hours flawlessly. I sleep really good when I include dairy in my diet, probably because I'm consuming more than enough calories each day, and I exercise a lot. I probably need those calories, although I'm not too sure about that, because I do track my calories, and even without dairy, if I get enough calories, it's different. So with dairy, I can sleep a lot longer. Without dairy, I can usually only sleep about 4 hours or so, 3 to 5 on average. And the funny thing is, when I only sleep 3 to 5 hours, usually 4, if I just kind of like go throughout my day and just not worry about it, I actually am a lot more energized than I would be if I slept a full 8 hours. And I can tell you something else, the more I sleep, the more groggier I seem to feel. But then again, it goes back to evolution and our body's adaptation. The fact is the human body is an adaptive mechanism or an adaptive organism, and it's a use it or lose it type of thing. The body does heal itself. It's a fact that most people have been dumbed down to not understand. The more you do something, the more the body will adapt to it. Okay, the more the body will make adaptations to make that action possible. So the more you sleep, the more adaptations your body might make to make you sleep that long. And what people find is when you try to change your sleep cycle, it usually takes about 7 to 8 days on average for the body to completely adapt to it. So after a week of changing your sleep cycle, if you keep it consistent for that whole week, that is, and you don't fuck it up, your body will actually adapt to it. Your brain and body will adapt to that sleep cycle. But the key is adaptation, And most people, they're always complaining like, oh, I can't sleep. Oh, I don't get enough sleep. This and that. Like, oh, I'm depressed, or I'm thinking negative thoughts, or, I can't stop eating cheese or something. But the fact is, it's just because you're not thinking properly about what your body actually is. Like, you don't realize, like, hey, my body adapts, it's an adaptive organism. After a week of not eating cheese, you'll stop getting those cravings and you'll be able to live without it. But anyway, the point is, though, what you eat directly impacts how much sleep you need. If you have blood sugar problems, it'll definitely interfere with sleep, and it'll change how much energy you have throughout the day. If you have food intolerances, this can mess with your sleep. Undigested food in your stomach or in your colon, in your intestines, this can change too. If you need to urinate, you need to go pee, definitely go fucking pee or you're not going to be able to sleep. And another big one that a lot of people don't realize, minerals, okay? Mineral imbalances can make or break your sleep. So, I mean, you know, it's really funny. It's absolutely hilarious to me. It's unfortunate. So many fucking people think, oh, I need 8 hours of sleep. They have this magic number in their head. But it can depend on, well, how much activity do you do throughout the day? What type of activity? Do you meditate? Because the more you meditate and the more relaxed you are, the less sleep you need. Okay? You can get away with a lot less sleep if you meditate and relax more often. What else? You know, and then the minerals, you know, if you're not getting enough minerals, you're going to need a lot more sleep, and you might not even be able to fall asleep. You might have insomnia. If you have a food intolerance, you know, if you're eating a lot of dairy products, and if dairy does interfere with sleep the way I see it as, and by the way, science has actually shown dairy and wheat actually do activate opioid receptors, and opioids like morphine and whatnot can cause you to be sleepy. Wow, imagine that. Foods that activate the opioid receptors can make you want to sleep more. Wow. And guess how many fucking people who complain about like, oh, like, you know, I need a shit ton of sleep and blah, blah, blah. How many of these people eat wheat and dairy? I bet you the majority of them do. That's, you know, just America. Or just the world now. You know, so it's no surprise that you're so tired all the time. You don't have much energy. You're consuming opioids essentially. You know, if you did a bunch of heroin, you did a bunch of morphine, what the fuck do you think would happen? Do you think that you would just be super full of energy and this and that? No, you take a bunch of morphine and shit. You're gonna be tired as fuck, groggy headed. You're gonna be have mental fog, mind fog. So. Yeah, crazy. Absolutely crazy. But I just hope that, you know, that people can learn from what I'm talking about here and kind of like, you know, just create your own schedule, man. Like, create your own schedule. Like, think about, like, what am I eating? What am I doing? How am I feeling? And then, you know, find the things that aren't working for you and really also write out like, well, what do I want to feel? I want to feel energized. I want to have more time. I want to be productive, yada, yada. You know, find out what you want and then align your diet, your nutrition, your lifestyle with what you want. I see too many people like, oh, healthy eating is so expensive. Motherfucker, it is not. You save a fuck ton of money eating healthy. It's a fact. I'm sure there's some places where it might be harder, but I mean, a McDonald's value meal is like $4, and you're getting deep fried potatoes. And by the way, you can get a 5-pound bag of potatoes for $2 where I live, and most places potatoes are super cheap. But yet you're buying like 4 ounces of deep fried potatoes in a Happy Meal. You know, you think that shit's fucking cheap? My ass, it's cheap. Like, and then like a hamburger, which is like 1/4 of a pound of beef on 2 wheat buns. You could buy a whole loaf of bread, not that I recommend eating bread, for $1. And you can buy a whole pound of beef for $3. But yeah, you think a fucking value meal is so fucking cheap. I think it's just absolutely crazy. People think that healthy eating is so expensive. It's because they haven't thought about this. It's not that hard. Go to your fucking grocery store and just look at the prices. People are fucking stupid. Oh man. Like, I know I'm just ranting at this point. I don't like to rant. I would rather just help people and educate people, but it is just too much for me to handle. I don't know how to handle, dogmatic ignorance. Anyway, yeah, so just know that you can do it, okay? Don't be like these people who give themselves excuses and talk a bunch of nonsense, okay? Find what works for you, though. You know, everyone's different. Just because I can sleep for 4 hours and be fine doesn't mean everyone can. But just know that you can, you know, you're capable of a lot more than you might think, all right? Sorry if this gets a little vulgar. I'm definitely not trying to talk down on anybody watching my videos, because if you're watching my videos, chances are you're a pretty open-minded individual, you know, and I appreciate people like that. So anyways, leave your questions and comments down below, and if I haven't gotten back to your messages or comments, you know, let me know or whatever, and I'll talk to you soon.